And we are live, guys. Welcome to another live stream from Men of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. What we're going to talk about today is how to go vertical to get rich. Now, what does it mean to go vertical? It basically means, in simple terms, is to go up, straight up, instead of going horizontal. Vertical instead of horizontal. Let me first start with a story. That story is found in the first chapter of one of the best business books of all time, written by Napoleon Hill, called Think and Grow Rich. Now, you've probably read it. If you haven't, oh my gosh, where have you been? Make sure that you start reading that book ASAP. In that first chapter, Napoleon Hill is talking about how thoughts are things. And that's how you can think and grow rich. Instead of, believing that only working hard is going to take care of everything, it's going to be a problem eventually when you realize, oh, I worked so hard and then nothing happened. It was because you didn't think first. And you didn't improve upon your situation in terms of that matter. We're going to talk about that. Okay, so the story is about a guy named Edwin C. Barnes. Edwin C. Barnes had a burning desire. Yesterday's video was about desire for power, desire for something. A burning desire is what Edwin C. Barnes had to do what? To work for the great inventor Thomas A. Edison. Thomas A. Edison at this point in time was a famous inventor, and Edwin C. Barnes was a nobody, living in New York from what I understand. New Jersey was it? And he couldn't afford the money for the train to get to where Thomas A. Edison was. Now this would stop most people, but Edwin C. Barnes decided to jump on a freight train, and somehow managed to get to Thomas A. Edison. When he arrived at Thomas A. Edison, he said, "I want to work for you." Now Thomas A. Edison was like, "Who's this guy? He's like wearing tramp clothes. He's like poor, and he doesn't seem like the kind of guy I would want around me." Does that make sense? But Thomas A. Edison gave this guy a shot, and he's like, okay, fine, you can go and do this over there. And basically, Edwin C. Barnes got fired up outside his brain, and he started working with the thing that Thomas A. Edison asked him to do. But you know what happened? Edison gave him unimportant work. But Edwin C. Barnes was fired up about the unimportant work and made the unimportant work important to him because he had one burning desire, and that was to be a partner with Thomas A. Edison. Not to simply just work for him, he wanted to become his business partner. And months went by, and nothing seemed to be progressing. And Edwin C. Barnes was like, oh, is this ever going to happen? But he had a burning desire. He stuck to that burning desire. And guess what happened? Edison at one point in time came up with the dictating phone. Or what would eventually be called dictating machine was it? And it would eventually be called the Ediphone. And none of his salespeople wanted to sell it. Because they thought that it was a bad idea, and they were like hesitant, and they tried and they failed. But Edwin C. Barnes was fired up about this opportunity because the fact that these salespeople were giving up gave him the opportunity to say, hey, I want to sell it. What ended up happening is that Edwin C. Barnes traveled all over America selling the Ediphone. And that made Edwin C. Barnes massively rich, and Thomas A. Edison even more well known. And suddenly he had become a business partner and had become rich in the process. He had that burning desire, and then he made it into reality by sticking to it, even though when it looked like it wasn't working, it was working. That's the principle of invisible results. Now, let me talk about this thing because we want to make sure that you can apply this principle. Who cares if Edwin C. Barnes managed to do it? That was 100 years ago. Yes. So you need to figure out how you can apply it. Now, let's look at it from Thomas A. Edison's standpoint. A poor chap comes to him and says he wants to work for him. Thomas A. Edison looks at this guy and says, I don't trust this guy. One, I don't trust who is he? So I don't know if he's honest. I don't know if he's ethical. I don't know anything. I don't know if he's loyal. I don't know if he's trying to steal my ideas. I'm an inventor. Come on. And also, I don't know if he's competent. What if he sucks? What if he blows up my entire lab? What if he does this? Do you understand? Lack of trust is the main reason why going vertical is difficult. Trust. The speed of trust. If you can understand that principle that you must become trustworthy of the people you want to work with. You got to understand that rich people have a lot of problems. They've got just as much problems as you do. Except for the fact that they've got bigger problems, problems that could literally solve the planet's problems, okay? Like, they're thinking bigger. They're thinking about humanity. They're thinking about billions of people. They're thinking big, okay? While us small people, we're like, oh, but I want to work with him one day. And we've got no idea what we're thinking about. And we've just got like, I don't have money for food. I don't have money for transportation. I'm barely surviving. I don't have any... Do you understand? You're thinking like this while he's thinking up here and you think you can work with him. This is why people quit. This is why people just reduce themselves to having a full-time job or having, just doing whatever. But imagine if you could actually work with the great ones. You can work with the great ones. You've just got to start where they are and figure out what their biggest problems are. Okay, because they've got some problems. So what are some examples? What are some things you can do? Well, first you have to figure out who you want to tag along with. And what I recommend is a principle that I call in growth we trust. This is both for the employer or the rich person, but it's also for the poor person and the guy who wants to basically radically change his life. Now, obviously, the poor person will need the rich person more than the rich person needs the poor person. But in growth, we trust. So, you first, as the poor person, I'm not saying you're poor, but you're poor compared to the abundance that you want to have in the future. Does that make sense? In that sense, I'm also poor, even though I'm not poor. Does that make sense? Okay, so what you want is you want to, instead of diversifying and saying, I don't know who to choose, I don't know which mentor to go for, choose a few select ones. Okay? You can't have 10 people that you want to work with or work like you can't even have 10 mentors. There were times when I was watching YouTube and I would watch 10 different guys, 10 different rich people, and then I was like, oh, what should I choose? They're teaching different things, and sometimes they're even not, they disagree on certain subjects. Which one should I follow? You've got to determine who you want to follow, and that is in growth we trust. So you've got to look at the people who are growing the most. You got to look at the people who are growing right now and making things happen right now and latch onto them because they're onto something. They know things that you don't know, and they know things that the people who are not growing know. Does that make sense? So choose out a focused course, let's say maybe 3 or 5 absolute maximum of guys that you're like, I want to tap into what he knows and what he understands, and I want to get the exponential growth curve that he has. And then you want to contact that person somehow. Obviously, you're not going to get through to him. You can't find his email. You can't find anything. So what are you going to do? You are going to create growth for that person. Let me give you an example of this. I have one of our loyal subscribers, and I reached out to him because he commented down below. Okay? Without you commenting down below, I have no idea who you are. So he commented down below, and it was a very good comment. So I said, hey, you can have a free coaching session. And because in that way, I get to have a chance to get to know my subscribers and etc. And I had a coaching session with him, and he was a really nice guy. Didn't quite know what he should do right now. He's, studying and doing different things, but no real direction of where to go, in creating that exponential growth curve in his life. So I suggested some things to him, and then he suggested to me, well, I want to become your business partner. Let's create something. Let's do big things. And I'm like, okay, great. Remember, it's the trust thing, right? First, you got to develop trust. And so he's ongoing now been developing trust and doing things to help me grow. And I'm like, okay, this guy kind of knows what he's doing. And now we're in a growing relationship where he's going to do something for me that would exponentially put me on even more growth curve. Like, I'm already on an exponential growth curve, but he wants to even more help me to grow. Does that make sense? Now, he's putting himself on the map. Just like Edwin C. Barnes put himself on the map, this guy is now putting himself on the map in terms of working with me. Now, trust is going to take time because it just does. You can't know who other people are, and especially now with internet, you have no idea who these people are. But step by step, time over time, then you'll have a growing relationship, and you can perhaps eventually become business partners. This is the fastest way to grow. You've got vertical, where a person who doesn't have anything of what a rich person has, and he wants to tap into what he's doing, because that would be faster than going horizontal. What are examples of going horizontal? Studying. For example, that's horizontal. That's not massive growth. That's not exponential growth. It's studying to get a job. And job stands for just over broke. And having a low-paying job, not using your other 8 hours when you're not at work to actually grow, that's horizontal. Let me give you an example of this. This is also my brother. I have a brother who has a family, and he has a job, and obviously now because he has a family, he has to provide for the apartment that they own, and he has to make sure that, the kid is okay, and he wants to grow his income. Now, unfortunately, he's not getting any traction with his boss, so he's basically getting a 3% raise every single year, which does not cover up for inflation and the increase in prices, but he's still moving along, tagging along, and I'm like, dude, you gotta start your own business, man. Or, come work with me, man. We can do huge things, amazing things. And still, he's like, blah, blah, blah. I gotta study some more, and if I study some more, then, I can get an increase in wages. Or get another job that would maybe get him a 5% raise or a 10% raise, but still, job. Just over broke. And no exponential growth curve. Now, obviously, not everyone can start a business, right? But you can start a business. The people who don't start a business are the people who, they just don't really want more out of life. But if you're watching my channel, you're now beginning to develop a burning desire. Why? Because you're being influenced by me. I have a burning desire, and if you're watching my channel, it's automatically raising your desire to levels that you've never had before. I'm doing that on purpose. Don't go horizontal. Horizontal is never going to make anything happen. Now, if that horizontal curve can produce exponential growth in the future, great, but it probably won't. However, if you start a business, or if you invest a massive amount of your income, then yes, you could get exponential growth. But starting a business actually puts you in control of your investment. When you just invest into other people's company, you're at the mercy of what they do with that company. You're at the mercy of those leaders of that company not tanking it. You're at the mercy of the market. Once you control your own business, or you work together with someone that you trust will have exponential growth way in the future, that's a different thing. Startups are more exciting but more risky unless you trust the guy who is doing the startup. Okay, so exponential growth curve, and then horizontal exponential growth curve, and the last one is vertical. Straight up. The best way to go straight up is to reach out to the people who already have what you desire. Exponential growth, who have money, who have time, who have what you want. Reach up. Reach out. Reach up, reach out, reach up. If you understand that principle, huge things can happen to you. But you've got to have the burning desire, and then you've got to understand how they think, and then you've got to take massive action and figure out their problems. If you figure out their problems and you start solving those problems, things will happen. I'm going to end with what I call the time and money matrix. Someone else has probably invented this before, but let's, if we put a paper, you do it on paper, pen, and you draw a big square, and then in there you divide it up in 4 pieces, so you've got 4 squares, and so it's a matrix. And what you're going to do is you're going to put time is going to be at the bottom axis, and then money is going to be at the top axis. Okay, so yeah. And then it's going to be one box is going to be no money, no time. This is the worst situation to be in altogether. This is for students, okay? Like I explained, stubborn students who are like, no, I'm going to finish my schooling first. What a waste of time. Oh my gosh. Second aspect is low middle class jobs with high expenses, okay? And with debts. Now this is, again, no money, no time. They're spending all their money and then they have to work another month again to make the money. It's like, how can you create exponential growth curve with that? How can you have the time and energy and capacity to reach out and reach up? You don't. So you're going to get stuck at that job forever and ever until you retire on 40% less than the income you had previously. This is a bad strategy. Okay, moving on. Poor low-wage jobs, okay? You're working hard, 3 jobs with poor low wages. Oh, I'm making money. Yes, but if you're not working a job where you're learning while you're earning, then it's a waste of time. You want to earn while you learn, preferably, correct? Learning is the most important thing that you can do in order to create exponential growth curve. The best investment you can do is always in yourself. I'll add one more in this section here, and that is entrepreneurs, okay, people like me who are diversified. Now, what do I mean by that? Someone who has more than 3 projects going on. And I'm talking commitments, okay? So if you're a church guy, then that's a commitment. If you have a family, that's a commitment. If you've got a job, that's a commitment. And then you're trying to build a business on top of that, yeah, it's not going to work, okay? It's like, commitments. You want to cut down on your commitments so you can increase your commitment on the things that actually do matter. Does that make sense? You're going too wide, spreading yourself too thin, instead of going deep in the things that matter. Get that principle, man. Oh man, I love this topic. No money, no time. You understand that concept? And then you go up directly on this matrix, okay? So you basically have come to the point where you have no time, right? Because you're not on the time axis, but you've got money. Now, this is the high middle class people. Some rich people, but not many of them. This is the high middle class. And those are the guys who, like, they're distracted. They're distracted all the time. A lot of people want their time, and there's too much happening, and oh, blah, 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 blah. You don't want to be in that situation as well. Now, at some point, maybe the problem here is that you've not developed your leadership skills. You basically have created lots of opportunity and a lot of people needing you, which is great, but if you don't invest that money, and if you don't learn what it takes to become a leader, an entrepreneur, then you're wasting your time as well. So you've got to figure out that part as well. Okay, so, and then we have the other side, which is where you have, at the bottom, there will be, you have lots of time, but you've got no money. Now this is, I would say, the almost best situation to be in, right? So I'm putting them in order of importance. This is a time where basically you're either working for free or you're not working at all. Not working at all is basically living on welfare. Never recommended. Don't ever do that. Okay, it's messing up your soul. Okay, that's all I can say. Never be on welfare. Unless, you've got like huge issues and you're hampered by sickness and disease and like you have a lot of problems and issues. Get over those as soon as you can, unless you're really, really old. But even at that point, you can still improve your situation and by realizing who relies on you. There's still people who rely on you. If you're still alive, there are people who rely on you. The other people who are in that space of having time but no money are the focused entrepreneurs. So there are the people who voluntarily are using their time because they believe in a project. In some ways, that's kind of like, I would say I'm in that booth right now because, I went bankrupt just 3 months ago. So I have to build myself up again with an exponential growth curve again. And it's not, it's going to take a few months. It doesn't matter. But the point is, I got to go up. I got to reach up. Okay? And that is where, on that matrix, is where you've got time and money. Those are the people I want to connect with. Those are the people that you want to connect with. But if you're not quite there yet, be part of the ride of someone who is heading there and has exponential growth curve towards that. With that said, I need your help. Because I am just myself, and as you see on the subscriber count, we've got 358 subscribers or whatever it is. That's not enough. We've got to move up. We've got to reach up. And so what I want for you guys, some of you guys want to be coached by me, but you don't have the money. That's just too bad. If you don't have the money, then suggest the same thing that the other loyal subscriber said. I don't have the money, but I can work for you. Give me tasks. I want you to grow. I want you to create and become. Because I know if I jump on that train, I will exponentially grow myself. You can do that too by working with me and working on my team. Now, can I take in everyone? No, obviously I can't. But if you've got certain skills that I need that I don't have, on my team, then yes, you are welcome to participate and reach out to me. My email is down below on that thing that keeps going by on the black thing. So you can participate in the growth curve that's happening right now. I'm not going to give up until I've got, $1 billion, $1 trillion. Money is not my option. My focus is unburdening women and children and creating men who are massively becoming world-class leaders in their field and expertise and in politics and in all that matters. Okay, I want to revolutionize the world. And for that, I need your help. So let's say you don't have any skills, you don't have anything, and you don't want to be coached by me for some reason. Now, great, no problem. But you do know that other people could highly benefit from it. Then what you can do is to comment down below and put a like button on this video. If that's all you can do, fantastic. But if you want more, then comment down below, say that you want to contact me, or even better, just write me an email directly and say, I'm ready to work with you. What can I do? So that you can start your own personal growth curve. I can coach you for your journey, and we can create exponential growth and reach up. My name is Joseph Darling. This is the Men of High Value channel. I will see you again tomorrow.